So today, what you're going to be looking at are the early government and the early religion of the different civilizations that are rising coming out of the Neolithic age, the Neolithic era. And so to do this, you're going to go through this lesson. I'll teach you about the basics on government, the basic on the religion, the basic terminology you need, and then you'll be able to explore the stations on your own. This assignment is due by the end of class today. So make sure that you do submit it by the end of class. So in government, in sixth grade, we have these 4 words that are going to be ones that we come back to over and over and over. You've got an empire, which is a group of country or city states that are controlled by one. That might be a monarchy, a king or a queen, or it might be a dictatorship, but you basically have one person in charge or one government in charge of a larger area. Some of the governments that we'll study are democracies. Democracies are when the people come together and they make choices based on casting votes by elections. There are theocracies. Theocracy goes back to a government that's chosen by religious leaders. Sometimes it goes a step further and you have somebody who is given control by the divine right. It is directly willed down from the gods who is in control. So you have a divinity or divine rights. You have a theocracy, which is based on the religious leaders. You can have a democracy or the empire. Now, there are other words over here that I want you to pay attention to that are things that we'll learn about as we go through the year, like an oligarchy. Um, you might have representatives, that type of thing, but these are the basics that we'll come back to. So, for early government, remember that as people are starting to settle in these sedentary communities, they start to see that they need someone in control to make decisions. If you have nobody in control, it's anarchy, it's chaos. So they realize that naturally leaders step up and have to have some kind of control. So as they see the need for this, um, they have leaders start to say they were chosen by divine rights. So if you go against what I'm saying, the gods chose me, so you better listen to me, because if you go against what I say, you're going to anger the gods. So it gave them quite a bit of power. Being disrespectful to the divine leader, the person who was put in place by a god or gods who was looking, or goddess who was looking over the village or the sedentary community, well, that's takes a lot of gumption to decide you're going to go against that. You're going to be in big trouble. So it kept people really in line and gave the government more power, made them stronger by having these divine rights. So your stations for government is this video, and you answer these questions. That's station 1. That's one of your choices. The second choice is to go to this website, the first civilizations of Mesopotamia and Egypt, and read about why civilizations develop into empires on 3, and then 3.1 from cities to empire, and get the answers to these questions. That's station 2. For station 3, you're going to use the information on slide 2 and 3 that has these crucial terms and explanations for early government, and you're going to fill in all of the blanks here. And to fill them in, you can add a text box and add it in so that you have the information on top of where the blank is. So just add a text box and you fill it in. Okay. For religion. Now, for the religion, the words that you need to think about, words that we'll come back to, is that most of these early religions, if not all, were polytheistic or polytheism. They had multiple gods they believed in. They were still looking for a lot of explanations to things, and so they believed that there were different gods in charge of different things. Then you have a monotheistic or a monotheism where there is one. Remember, poly is many, mono is one. In a monotheistic or society, there's belief in worship in one God. And when I say God, gods can be male or female, God or goddess, depends on where you were as to what you believed. And then there is divine. Remember that anything that is divine is of a God or from the God of your society. Another word I didn't put on here, but something that you do run into a lot is the word deity. D-I-E-T-Y, deity. And the deities are the gods. That's a word that refers to the gods or a god. So, for early religion, we're going to look at some creation stories. Almost every civilization that's been noted that we study in world history has creation stories, an origination story. And these early religions were polytheistic. So most of those origination stories have some explanation for light and dark. So you have three different stories here, creation stories, that give the explanation for light and dark. So you're going to choose two of them to listen to, and then you are going to note the differences between the two and the similarities between the two. And then you can also bring in any other knowledge that you have. Some of you really enjoy mythology and you've read a lot of creation stories and things um, through different things that you enjoy studying about or reading about. So if you have any other outside knowledge, I want you to include that too. So you have the Egyptian creation myth. So I want you to summarize the creation that you hear from the story. And then I want you to put down any similarities that you have with any other religious story that you know of or anything you've read and what it is. Then you have the Aztec creation story. Again, summarize it, then give the similarities. And you definitely should have similarities between the two that you listen to. And then the third one is the book of Genesis. It's found in both the Torah and the Bible, which are different books that we will talk about as we study through world history. And you're going to summarize the story in 1 to 2 sentences and then again tell how it relates to the other one. So you choose 2 of the 3 government ones to do, 2 of the 3 religious ones to do. You can add in text boxes to give your answers, and then when you are done, you submit this to me for your assignment today. I will be in class. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you. And that's all. So if you have any questions, let me know. It's due by the end of class.